let's do sophomore year because then we're going to be closing into kind of your later years and then graduation. So,
Hmm.
what did those later high school years look like? And even sophomore, just starting off, I guess sophomore year, and then you can carry on to senior year and then graduation. Were you thinking of pursuing a career in music? Did your parents support a career in music, or were you thinking, okay, like I want to pursue this, I want this to be maybe more of a hobby and I'm looking for something different? Or
Hmm.
was music just such a strong pull that you're like, okay, I'm set. I've been learning all of this for these last several years. I really want to do this.
Sophomore year, from what I can remember, and I'm sorry to say my memory isn't very strong, was the fork in the road. I hadn't give much thought to what I really wanted to do with my life. And that's also been something that's been a question for even in recent memory. So that's an ongoing thing. So if you are a sophomore in high school and are listening to this and think, we have it all figured out 10 years down the road, don't worry about it. It's okay
Oh my
to
gosh,
not
yeah,
have the
no.
the answers.
No.
But at this point I had been getting my hands on as much music opportunity as I could. There's jazz band, there's a small like jazz ensembles like outside of school. I did marching band for a bit. I played in orchestra. I played in a symphony outside of school. I did competitions. I was involved in theater, and that's a big part of who I am today is a thespian, someone who enjoys theater and the dramatic arts.
Yeah.
So it was like you know, honestly, I didn't have the time to really benefit from listening to myself and really thinking about my future, which that's not a fault of anyone, but my own and the situation of having a lot of great opportunity. But I remember I was interested in these design classes, and not like design like graphic design in high school. And I'm really grateful for the opportunities that presented themselves in my particular school district. They had a lot of great avenues for exploring what career you may want to pursue. And so I took this it's called EBD, Engineering by Design class, and I really liked it. I worked
Oh wow.
with AutoCAD, and it was kind of like a stepping stone if you wanted to either become like an engineer or an architect. And I took architecture another year in high school, and I was like, you know what? I really like the design aspect of this and having that creative uh, outlet. I also liked playing Minecraft, so of course I loved making houses in Reddit,
Yeah.
or Revit, whatever it is. Um, I also liked kind of using the strategic part of my brain, which I think comes from um, being really invested in my studies as a kid. That was like an outlet for me, was like really hitting the books hard. That stopped ever since I started playing Clash of Clans in class. I think like freshman year of high school. Stay off your
Oh wow.
phones and keep studying. Keep
Yeah.
studying. Don't play video games during class. Any high schoolers listening, and middle schoolers as well.
Yeah.
Definitely pay attention to your teachers. Um, but so the architecture for me was like, oh yeah, I combine this strategic thinking and this creative thinking, and it just married so well. So I was like, I guess that's what I'm going to pursue, is like that or engineering, because I was like, oh, I'm smart. Like all these smart people are going to be engineers. I didn't know what engineering was. I barely knew what
Yeah.
architecture was. Like I was like, I like playing Minecraft, and that's like seemed like the most Minecraft related career. But thankfully I had people in my life at that time who were like, you're not going into music?" And I was like, "No, like that's not a career path." And what that comes from is growing up in an area where the arts are, they're, I mean, I was lucky with the school district I had, but nobody walks around like calling themselves an artist or having these huge dreams. Like it was a, I mean, it's a rural area, so like there's big farming, there's big, uh, there's everyone's big into like getting into trade school, so that like confidence in myself that I have now from living in a city for the past like 7 years, that wasn't present in my life. So it was like, oh, so like I go to music school and then what? You know, I was very concerned with the end result. I was concerned with even being good enough, but I realized like music, even if it doesn't find itself in a career, it's something that I do want to study beyond high school. And I really surprised myself. And this kind of this may lead itself towards the graduation aspect. So I'll kind of put a pause in it there for now. Um,
So that was all. That was that was really interesting, and um, I guess I have one point, but I guess one follow up. But so what? And you may have already said it, but what was the initial interest in um, actual engineering and architecture? I think that you said for architecture wise, you liked the because it does, and it has this element involved, like the artistic element that it has, and the visuals that you can build and that you can see, but you also liked the logical, and I guess this shows that I'm not a STEM student or I'm not STEM minded at all, but like the technical aspect or like the scientific aspect of it. Like you said that you kind of had like those two parts of your brain a little bit, or at least for like the technical side, you think that could work out well with architecture. And then with engineering more, I guess besides like playing Minecraft or just like other things like you enjoyed within that a little bit, what pulled you towards those more STEM feel? It's like what separated that between your artistic abilities and your artistic mindset, and then, oh, instead of this, I might actually try engineering, I might try architecture, I might try something in these fields or similar to that.
yeah, it's a great question. And I don't quite understand my logic. So like just please bear in mind this is like a 15 or 16-year-old kid who like doesn't really know a whole lot is kind of thinking
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
So like the engineering thing, I've always loved designing things, and I think that kind of plays into how I view myself more like as a creative or an artist instead of like just a musician. I loved art class. I really loved math as well, until I, stopped paying attention. But that's a whole
Exactly.
another thing
Yeah.
that we can talk about.
Yeah.
Um, but and I think I would have done well in like physics or chemistry. But that's kind of when I took a step back from like really pursuing academics seriously. But I don't think engineering was as good of a fit for me, but I ended up making this is
Oh
if you can
wow.
even see this here. This
Yeah.
is something I 3D printed in I think I don't know if it was my engineering by design class, but it's a pencil holder that has the
Oh
Big
wow.
Ben in London, and this is like my ode to the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, because
Nice.
he's
Nice. Yep.
Big Ben, and then this is Big Ben. So like
Exactly.
not a functional, device that's going to save lives someday or anything. So like I'm more of like a designing products kind of guy, but we did some of that in engineering, and we also built bridges out of toothpicks, and we sent them to competitions and see how much of a load they
Oh
can
wow.
they can handle. So it was just a kind of a fascination thing. But if you put me in the classroom and try to understand physics, like that's where I tapped out.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
when I studied math and felt like like I could hang and do well in math, that was its own thing. But as soon as I checked out academically, the whole hope of being an engineer someday kind of faded as well.